Welcome back to part 2 of our intake manifold building episode here. We are over at the mill. We are now starting on the top plate for the intake manifold for our 2020 build series of the Next Bad Influence, our 526 Hemi powered 5th gen Camaro, 114mm turbo, everything there. We are doing a blow-through carburetor intake manifold, but we are modifying the lower plenum of a blower intake that used to have a 1471 on it, and building a upper plenum and top hat for that. So right now, we're over here, we have a 3/8 plate aluminum for the top here, and we are drilling holes to mount this to the actual blower manifold. We will take and smooth everything out. We're going to scallop this so it matches everything around the back as well, so right here, as you can see. So we'll take and trace that out, and we'll cut that out, and then we will re-mill inside here so it matches everything, like this and here, and this will all get smoothed out by hand with our grinder. So we have 4 of our holes drilled. We're going to then flip the intake around and drill our 4 over here. Then we'll mark out 2 and 2 here, so there'll be 10 bolts holding this plate down. Then we will be building up on the sides here and here to the top hat or to the CARB plate, and then we'll fill in like that, and then it'll get welded inside, outside, and everything on there, ground smoothed, and then be ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and flip this intake around, drill the other holes, and then we will put the helicoils in and go from there. So now that we have everything drilled and tapped, we have helicoils in for our main bolts, which are, we have 4 on each side here. We're going to go ahead and go make some trim pieces. We're going to trim the corners and everything off on this plate. Let's go ahead and we'll show you exactly what we did here. So we'll take these bolts out real quick here. So everything's done there. So we went ahead and traced out where we need to trim, so that way it will match everything for the lower manifold on here. When we drilled everything, as you saw, we had this clamped down. We drilled through both the plate and into the manifold at the same time. That made it nice and easy to put the helicoils in, so now when we put everything in there, everything matches up. If you know you're going to drill through and put, tap it or a helicoil or whatever, if you can put the hole through both at the same time and have everything clamped down, it makes everything way easier, so you don't have everything off just that little bit. So, okay guys, we're back. It's Sunday morning, and as you can kind of figure out, I do a lot of work on Saturdays and Sundays on our car and on our different projects and such here. So yesterday you saw me making the top plate and getting everything ready to mount to the intake manifold, which is right here. And now I'm going to show you exactly kind of what we've done, what I'm going to be doing, and kind of the idea of how we're putting this all together. So let's get to it. Here's kind of the mocked up version of how I have everything, so we could get some measurements and then I'll go and we'll run and grab some plates, and I'll show you everything there. So right here is our intake manifold. This is mocked up. This is the old stuff that we had from the Winley kit that you saw in the previous video that we are not using, but I needed to see what we were going to use for height for everything. Obviously we will be using our carburetor flange here. And you can see it's spaced up with some rod, things like that on here. But that's kind of, if you can visualize what it's going to be. So what we did yesterday, we got all of the plate mounted in here. We just have 2 bolts to still put in, one here and here. The issue that we have is we've been drilling through everything, and we can't drill all the way through, otherwise we will hit the burst panel here. So we have to take a measurement, see how far down we can go. We might actually have to do 2 5/16 bolts versus 3/8 where we have everywhere else. But if you see inside, everything is really jagged from on the mill, which is completely fine. It was all done by hand milling. And yesterday I took a little bit of time and I smoothed everything out here with our porting bit and grinder. And that's what we're going to do on everything. So smooth it all out, blend everything in. This has a little bit left right here that we're going to take and smooth out. That's going to be everything on there. As you can see, our plenum, we need to bring this in just a little bit. It's a little too far out, so fuel can actually puddle up right there, and we don't want that. We don't really have a choice around these here, but we want to bring this in so that way it's going to be really close to that, even if we have to take and lay it back, where we can lay that back so it comes up to the wall, so that way anything will just come right down. But that is what we are working with for height. Right now it is roughly about 2.5 inches high off of the top plate that we have mounted here, and we want to get that to about 2 3/4, maybe 3 inches. That way it's going to give us enough room for the air coming in to then be able to slope down on both sides like that, getting to everything for distribution. So let's go ahead. I'm going to take this apart and we're going to go show you the plates that we're going to be using and some of the mock-up stuff and how we're going to do the rest of it. So we're at our welding table and fabrication table where we're going to start to plan out how we're going to build this. So as you saw, we had the mock-up pieces on here, everything kind of taped together. We're not going to use that for building on this, so we can go ahead and take some of this stuff off. This is our new welding table, so really excited to use this. It's got some fixturing pieces to be able to hold stuff down, where when we go to weld the top on here and all the pieces, we'll be able to take this top off, clamp it down, and hold everything nice and true. So really happy that we went and we got this new welding table. So let's go back to the intake manifold. So we have, this is the original piece from our original kit, and this is all we're using from that original sheet metal kit is just this flange. I know it's horrible, but got to keep going on. So we're going to use that, and what we did is we have plates made for the sides here. Now we ordered these tall so we can figure out, okay, where are we going to need it, what angles, height-wise and everything. And we already know that this is probably, if I remember right, about 5 inches tall. So we're going to cut this down, angle it in, and then this will also get moved in. So let's take a look. So what we have here is, this is going to be the side panel that we've already cut one of these out, and we are tracing it onto the second so that way they are 100% identical. So this will be standing up like this on the side, and if you see, it is offset because since it is a blow-through style carburetor on here, the carb's going to sit like this, and because of G-forces, since our fuel is being introduced up top here and not in the runner like a port injection, the fuel is going to want to slosh back in the air. So we are offsetting it towards the front to help push it towards the front cylinder so we don't have any issues. So we've already got one cut out, and we traced it on this one, so we're going to go to the bandsaw, cut that out, and then we can start putting it on the manifold, even getting the welder out, and we'll tack weld it in place, make sure everything is good. Once we get them on there with our carb spacer, our carb flange on there, there we go, like that, we can then go ahead and then make the panels that are going to come down on the front and the rear of this. So we'll go ahead and get this other one cut out. Hey guys, Tuesday morning, back at it. We have been building the top plate, the top for the intake manifold. You saw we already got the plates cut out. We went ahead and welded some of that up, mocked it up. Here's some pictures. And then we went and started going with the rear plates on here. So I want to show you this real quick. This is kind of where we're at. We just welded some of this on here, so it's still a little warm, and we've got it clamped down. But that is how our intake is coming along. Looking pretty good. Remember, this is all 1/4 inch plate here, so it's going to be able to handle the boost. And then tonight, Ethan, he's on the other side of the race car working over there. We're going to get the front plate on here, then we'll flip it over, and we're going to stitch weld inside there. There we have it, all tacked in place. We have just 4 tacks on there on the top, bottom there. Got it on the sides, like that. And now we will take and adjust this so we can weld everything all the way around. We'll do all that, get our final welding on the edges on the bottom there. We'll let it cool down, then we'll flip it and then get all the inside welding done. And this will be ready to be put back on the lower intake manifold. And then we'll put it on the mill and put in our last 2 bolts for the front. We're going to go ahead and weld this up and then show you guys the finished product. Bam! There it is. So we've got it all welded up on there. This was the plate we just made. This is the front. That's still warm. I'm really bad at that. But we have everything on there. And see if we can go like this. Maybe? There it is. So that is for the main portion of it. We still have our 2 bolts to put in up on the front here, and some final cleanup. You can see we have a little bit of, there's a little contamination there, but it wipes right off. This aluminum, when you get it very hot, any oils or anything like that comes right out on there. So we have to clean it multiple times as we're welding it and such on there. But it's on, carburetor will be there, so now we're going to work on the charge pipe. We're going to do the final little bits on the intake manifold itself. If you see, this is obviously where we had to mill stuff off of here, and we're going to clean up all of this and give it a little bit of a bevel right there to clean all that up. If you see all of these ports on here like that are plugged, that is when this was a blower application, and that's where the injectors went in. So all of the mechanical fuel injection went in there. This was an older plug. See, there's 2 here and 2 here. The blower would push all the air into the front cylinder, so they would have more injector up here to give it more fuel in the front than in the rear. So that's how that worked. So other than that, it's looking pretty good. We thank everybody for subscribing, watching, following along. This has been a heck of an undertaking. That's why we had to do it in 2 different episodes on there. I think by now I have probably close to 45, 50 hours into this intake manifold between the design and everything like that, and throwing the old piece out and all this stuff on there. And it's been really fun. I can't wait till this hits the track and show everybody what's going on there.